welcome to the Holloway Series. It's an honor and it's a privilege to introduce Javier O Huerta at this evening's Holloway reading. I've been an enormous fan of Huerta's work since we met in 2006 in a graduate poetry writing workshop here in the English department at UC Berkeley. From the gentrified ex-barrios of the Bronx to shady vodka bars in the heart of Manhattan and aging jazz clubs in Chicago, I've had the dubious pleasure of following many of Huerta's misadventures in poetry, performance, and partying in the years since. I feel lucky to have witnessed, as fellow poet, publisher, scholar, and friend, pieces of the arc of production that has resulted in the manuscript from which Huerta will read tonight. You guys are in for a treat. Javier O Huerta is the author of Some Clarifications y Otros Poemas, published by Arte Público in 2007, which won the Chicano-Latino Literary Prize from UC Irvine. His poems have recently been anthologized in American Tensions, Literature of Identity and the Search for Social Justice, and The Best American Non-Required Reading, 2011. His second book, American Copia, an Immigrant Epic, is forthcoming from Arte Público Press in March of this year. Originally from Nuevo Laredo, via Houston, Texas, he currently lives, studies, and writes in Berkeley. Before it was a complete manuscript, selections from Huerta's epic, American Copia, appeared in the winter 2008 edition of my press's Achoti Seeds Journal. In the preface to this poem, Huerta informs us that his poem draws inspiration from Erasmus's 1512 book, Copia, An Abundance of Style. In this book, Erasmus argues for the necessity of many and varying stylistic techniques in rhetoric. In one chapter, he famously demonstrates 195 ways to write the sentence, "Your letter pleased me greatly." In revising this classic study, Huerta chooses to use the sentence he was required to write in order to pass his naturalization exam during his INS interview. This sentence is, "Today I am going to the grocery store." In the years since, Huerta has reflected on the complicated relationships between citizenship, patriotism, love, and language. In particular, he confesses that he's been struck by the abundance of language. He claims that his American Copia is not an epic, but, quote, an attempt to explore the abundance of experience encapsulated within that one sentence. This marks a provocative shift away from Erasmus, from an abundance of style for the persuasive purpose of rhetorical elegance and diversity, to the abundance of experience, as witnessed through multiple languages and syntactical play. Huerta experiments, riffs on, revises, and sometimes faithfully reproduces his original sentence. What remains constant throughout is a careful troubling of relationships and categories of identity. American Copia's shifting and multiple lenses reveal glimpses of multiple identities: undocumented, naturalized, student, son, brother, nephew, lover, consumer, poet. Supermarkets mark the uneasy boundaries of nation and identity. From the bougie Safeway on Oakland's Grand Avenue to the Fiesta Supermercado in the Houston neighborhood where he grew up, Huerta's poem troubles and teases, very playfully, the cultural and national boundaries drawn between piñatas and elote, popsicles and bonbons. The circular migratory motion to and from bodega and supermarket, Mexico, the Bay Area, and Texas barrio are captured in Huerta's winding syntax and the shifting temporal frame of the poem. Huerta jumps from childhood to adolescence to adulthood in no chronological order. As a political statement, the poem's circular time refuses to privilege the moment of naturalization by reinforcing a before-after temporality. Poetically, Huerta's lines mimic the compression and multiplicity of memory, where his multiple experiences can appear as if they occur simultaneously. His long lines blur the border between the Whitman-esque poetic line and a prose poem. They continually point outward into a multiplicity of cultural references. The densely allusive and intertextual quality of the lines adds depth and texture. Huerta's copia succeeds in recreating both as spectacle and as poetic material the idea of a truly American abundance. Yet, like so much of the American writing that counts today, Huerta redefines the very term American itself, loosening it from a national imaginary bound to geopolitical and ideological borders to encompass a more transnational and hemispheric understanding of America. In doing so, American copia imagines new forms of imagination itself that can and will shape the future of literary production in the American hemisphere. Please join me in welcoming my friend, Javier Huerta.